Welcome to Sports Talk with RJ. I am Steve Risser along with Justin D'Onofrio, and opening night is tonight, and the Yankees open the season. They'll open the season tonight in San Francisco against the Giants. And we'll start with the Yankees. We'll start with the AL East, and we'll start with the Yankees. And the question is going into this season, as last year the Yankees barely lost the AL East to the Blue Jays. They came in second place over the wild card. But the question is should the Yankees be the favorite to win the division? And I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because once everyone gets healthy, I know Cole's out to start the year. I know Rendon's out to start the year. I know Schmidt is out to start the year. But when everyone is healthy, I think this rotation is going to be really good. I like the lineup. And the bullpen, definitely the bullpen's a little bit of a question, but I like Bednard as a closer. So I am going to say yes. And seeing what Toronto lost, seeing that Toronto lost Bo Bichette, seeing that the Red Sox lost Alex Bregman. I know Toronto got Dylan Cease. I know the Red Sox got Ranger Suarez, but I am going to say yes. I think the Yankees should be the favorite to win this division.
No, I got the Blue Jays still. I
think even with the loss of Bichette.
Yeah, he was hurt most of last year. He's hurt a good chunk of it. I'm not a big Dylan Cease guy, but I still like Gosman at the top of that. Your Savage is really good. I know at some point they get Shane Bieber back. I know that fifth spot's I think Barrios is expected back pretty soon too. So I know they're gonna get healthy. I know Santander is gonna be out for a while, but I still really love that lineup because they just put the ball in play. They just put pressure on you.
You're so obsessed with putting the ball in play. You are obsessed with putting the ball in play.
Because look what it does. I'm like, when you have a team like the Yankees who make so many defensive errors and don't know what base to throw to, like they're a bunch of T-ballers, it works out. It's a lost art in baseball. I don't know why. It's homer or nothing nowadays. Homer or strikeout. I can't stand it.
Especially with the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. They drive me insane. Two-strike approaches. Bellinger has it. Judge has a little bit of that. Nobody else in that team has much of a two-strike approach. Goldsmith does too. That's about it.
Yeah, you are definitely right. You're right. You're right about that. Yeah, the lack of a two-strike approach has been a problem for the Yankees. It's been a problem for the Yankees for a while. But here's the thing. I know for me, this season comes down to 5 things for the Yankees. Obvious. I think first, can Judge stay healthy? It's always the question because you won the MVP the last 2 years, but him staying healthy, that's always the question. Number 2, can Stanton stay healthy? Those are always the top 2 questions. Number 3, this is big. Can this team just tread water for the first month with injuries in the rotation? Can that happen? Can they tread water early with injuries in the rotation? Can that happen? Number 4, the depth of the bullpen. I think that's definitely a question mark outside of Bednard, the depth of this bullpen. And number 5, can Grisham duplicate what he did last year? So those are my 5 questions going into the season for the Yankees. And you don't have to give 5 questions, but those are just my 5 questions for the Yankees. And if all those things happen, they definitely will win the division.
Yeah, if those 5 things happen, I think they could totally win the division. I just don't know. Usually they do tread water in April and May. Usually they play pretty good baseball. And then when they get to June and July, the last couple of years they fall off a cliff and they can lose series. They've lost series to the White Sox before. So that's a problem. I think for Stan, it's like we can get 100 games. I feel good. Judge, hopefully he's feel good. Hopefully it's if he goes down, then this whole thing is irrelevant.
Oh, Judge goes down. Judge goes down. It's irrelevant. Yeah, it's not happening for him. Yeah. Judge goes down because we've seen the years that Judge went down in 2023. He missed a lot of games. You saw how that season
went. Yeah, we did. That was pitiful. So if Judge go down, it's gonna be tough. Yeah, with Grisham, I don't know if he could duplicate what he did last year. He's never done that in his career. Again, like I said at the time, I think the whole offseason got thrown off because Grisham accepted the qualifying offer. They didn't do much at all, and I think because they didn't think Grisham would pick it up. I wanted to see Dominguez get a full 162 games. He had a really good spring.
Nice because Grisham, that's good. That could affect Dominguez. But the thing is, though, if Grisham does struggle, Dominguez slides right in there. And he better slide right in there. Aaron Boone, if Grisham is struggling, stop listening to, don't be listening to Cashman wanting to be right about it. If Grisham's struggling, you better be putting Jason Dominguez in
there. Yeah, and I know Dominguez still struggles a little bit as an outfielder, but I'll I'll take him kind of still figuring out the position, especially when he played mostly center field in the minors and he switched him over to left. And I think he's had a little problem with that. But yeah, so Dominguez, I like that Spencer Jones had a really good spring too, but we'll see. Like it's a deep outfield, I guess. So, if you get a good Grisham. So I know Dominguez is gonna start down the minors with Spencer Jones, but yeah, the rotation's gonna be good, when they get healthy. And I'm excited to see what a whole year of Kent Slittler looks like. But you know, does Cole have some rust coming back? Probably.
Yeah.
Rendon, I don't totally have never really trust. And Will Warren had a good spring and he had a solid season, but like some of those better teams last year really he struggled with. So we'll see. But yeah.
So you're going Toronto. I am going with the Yankees as the favorite. But we'll move on. We'll talk about Toronto and should the Blue Jays be the should the Blue Jays be the should the Blue Jays how hard will it be for the Blue Jays to get back to the World Series? I think it's going to be difficult. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they get back. I think there's a chance, obviously, with having Vlad, with having Gosman, getting Dylan Cease. I think they have a chance, but I think the age of Springer could hurt. They have starters out to start the season. I like the bullpen. I think the bullpen's going to be really good, especially with the addition of Tyler Rogers. But I don't think they get back. I think they get to the playoffs. I don't think they get back to the World Series. Justin, what are the chances of the Blue Jays getting back to the World Series?
I think at the playoffs, I don't think they get back to the World Series either this year. I do think it to be a challenge. That that was a great series in Seattle, and again, that series could have gone either way. So, Seattle will give them a run for the money. I don't like the Dylan Cease pick because that guy's not a big game pitcher. He never has been. You saw it last year at the Padres. He went 3 innings of that Cubs game, and he was out of there. So I know Santander's going to miss a ton of time again this year, and you need Springer to recapture what he did last year. But you still got Vladdy in the middle of that lineup. You still got Nathan, Lukes and Addison Barger had a really good year. So I like some of the young guys they have. Again, they just put the ball in play, and that just something good can happen. Nothing good happens when you strike out. When you put the ball in play, something good can happen, and that's what the mentality seems they live by. And again, I enjoy watching Toronto play because again, I like to see balls in play, not 30 strikeouts a game.
Yeah, exactly. So you got Toronto back in the playoffs, but not go to the World Series. The next question, though, is with the Red Sox. You saw their offseason. They let Bregman walk, but they did sign Ranger Suarez, and they got that rotation with Bello, Crochet, and Suarez. Are the Red Sox going to get back to the playoffs? And I think yes. I think they finished in third, but I do think they get back to the playoffs. I do think the Red Sox are going to get back to the playoffs because of their rotation. I think their lineup is not great, but it's still good. It's still a good lineup. Even though they're going to miss Bregman, I do think the Red Sox do get back to the playoffs.
Yeah, I do too. I think at the rotation right now, as you mentioned, it's really good at the top right now with Crochet and Suarez, and I know they got Sonny Gray. I don't love Gray, but that top three is pretty solid. And then you got Conley early too, who looked really good late last year.
Especially late in the year, he did.
Yeah. That's a guy that got a young bright future. So with the lineup, maybe there's some inconsistencies at times this year, but with some of the young guys. But can you get 96 RBIs from Trevor Story again, who generally been banged up at times? I know he's pretty healthy last year, but Carlos Narvaez had a really good year last year. Nobody saw that coming. And can Chapman be as good as he was last year as a closer? He was, arguably the best closer in the sport last year. I don't know, but because the rest of that bullpen outside like Whitlock, has some holes. But yeah, I think that Red Sox team, their expectations should be to get back because you expect some of those younger guys to like the Marcelo Myers, Roman Anthony, take kind of second year leaps, and a couple of the guys look good in the World Baseball Classic played, and Jarren Duran too. Team Mexico had a good couple weeks there too.
You definitely brought up the World Baseball Classic. Roman Anthony was good. Jarren Duran, he's a good player. And then you got Wilbur Brave. So there's a reason the Red Sox didn't pay Bregman is they feel like they can rely on some of these younger guys in that lineup. And I didn't think they were when they let Bregman walk, I didn't think they were a playoff team. But when they signed Suarez, I think I do think they I had them back as being a playoff team. And Breslow's done a really good job of this rotation. I think going out and trading Crochet was a great move. He's a top 3 pitcher in the game, Garrett Crochet. That was a great move. And then going out and getting Ranger Suarez. This is the stuff Chaim Bloom did not do. He was married to the prospects. He didn't want to go out and spend money, and it showed. The team was not as good. Craig Breslow in 2 years as the guy running the team has made the playoffs as many times as Chaim Bloom did. So, and I think he's better. So Breslow's done a pretty good job putting this team together. I give him credit for the move. I know he traded Breg. I know he traded Devers. I know he didn't re-sign Bregman, but he has really focused on pitching, which is big with the Red Sox. Because when the Red Sox have been winning World Series, it's been because of pitching. 2004, Pedro Martinez and Kurt Schilling. 2007, Josh Beckett and Kurt Schilling. 2013, you had a John Lester. Lackey had a really good year. Clay Buchholz had a good year. And then 2018, you went out, you got Chris Sale and David Price. When the Red Sox have been good, they've had good pitching. They have really good pitching. I don't love their power in their lineup, but they got a good manager, they got good pitching, and they got a pretty good lineup and a really good bullpen. We'll see how good the bullpen is this year. Does Chapman have the same year as he did a year ago? We'll see how the bullpen is with him and Whitlock. Were probably the best 8-9 combination in the game last year. If that holds up, there's a good chance we'll be seeing the Red Sox in the playoffs again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it, the pitching wise, and the history Red Sox had when they've had really good starting pitching at the top, and they definitely do this year. And Crochet could knock off Skubal for the AL Cy Young. That's very possible. Ranger Suarez had a really good year last year, with the Phillies, and has some playoff experience as well, which is huge. I think two kind of under the radar moves that they might miss this year are Roman Gonzalez and Rob Rushine, just because those two just thrive against lefties. And hey, the couple times a week that you could throw them in there, or in the seventh, eighth inning, you could have those two pitch hit in a big spot against a lefty. So maybe just under the radar, maybe two losses that just as bench pieces, and a couple times when they face a lefty starting wise. But yeah, I really like that Red Sox team, and they should at least win a wild card series this year for that. They should at least get the divisional round. I feel like for that team this year.
Oh wow! You think they're going to think we'll get to that when we get to our predictions. But you talk about those losses of Remy Gonzalez and Rob Refsnyder. You got to have your guy. To me, the best lineups have their guys. They're platooning at maybe 2 positions max. They're platooning at 2 or 3 positions max. You can't be platooning at 5 positions and having a great lineup. That just doesn't happen because it makes everyone average. Now you take your bet. There's not a guy that's bad. Everybody's average, but I think you can't be platooning at a ton of positions. So I don't mind them getting rid of those guys.
Yeah, I'm just because they're just so good against lefties, and you could put them in clutch situations, or a couple times a week you maybe face a lefty. You could throw those guys in there because they do have a handful of lefties that are starters. So, that are left-handed hitters. So that's all that I just think under the radar wise, 2 guys that they can miss that because Core's so good in those situations of when knowing to go to one of those guys. So that's why I just think it's a little bit under the radar. A little bit lost just losing those two, just how well those two could thrive against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point there. Now, our last point before we get to our predictions on the division is the Orioles signing Pete Alonso. So that was a big signing. They also got Taylor Ward as well, Chris Bassett. I mean, the big question is with their moves, are they a playoff team? I don't think they are a playoff team, but I think they will be in contention. I think they'll be in that 83 to 85 win range. I think they'll be competing with the Red Sox. Or a team like the Red Sox, the Royals, the Guardians, the Rangers. I think they'll be competing for that spot, but I think they just missed the playoffs.
Yeah, I just think in another division, they'd probably have a better shot, but this is one of the more competitive divisions all baseball, and I think it's gonna be tough to kind of make that climb up this year. And yeah, Pete had a really good spring, but I do like him because he's a 5-time All-Star. He's gotten better defensively with the glove over there first, but yeah, I like the Taylor Ward addition too in the outfield. And I do like if Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish at the top, and I do like Shane Baz if he could stay healthy. And you got Chris Bass, so their rotation should be better. I think the bullpen's all right. So I think for Baltimore, I'm with you. They're right around 83 to win team, but and I think they'll just miss out on the playoffs. But wouldn't be shocked if they're in there. But I'm with you. I think they just miss out.
Yeah, I think they just missed out on the playoffs. And now we'll give our AL East predictions. First place, I got the Yankees winning. I like the starting pitching. I like the line. When everyone's healthy, I like the lineup. and I don't mind the bullpen. So I'm going to have them winning. And the thing is, you say they, you say they didn't really make a lot of moves. They really didn't lose anyone. They brought back Bellinger, which I wanted them to do. So they really didn't lose anyone. So that's why I got the Yankees in first. In second, I'm going to go with the defending American League champion, Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, they did get Dylan Cease, but they lost Bichette. That's a bet. That's a key bat in that lineup. They lost. Can the guy from the Japanese guy, they got the third baseman, can he replace him? I think he'll be decent, but he won't replace Bichette. So I got them in second. In third, I'm going to go with the Red Sox. I know they got Ranger Suarez, but they also lost Alex Bregman. So I think power in the lineup will be a little bit of an issue. That I do have the Red Sox and Blue Jays, even though I'm winning the division. I do have them as two of my wild cards. In fourth, I'm going to go with the Orioles, but I think they're going to have a winning record. I think they'll be better this year. I think they'll have a winning record because I really like the addition of Pete Alonso to that lineup. And Gunnar Henderson, and Adley Rutschman, they had down years. I think they'll have better years. They got Taylor Ward. I think their lineup will be good. The only issue I have is I think depth in the bullpen and depth in the rotation is going to come back to hurt this team. I do like Trevor Rogers, but really outside of Rogers and Bradish, I think depth in the rotation is going to hurt this team. That's why I got them in fourth. And in fifth, I got the Rays. I think they lack rotation depth. I think they lack bullpen depth. And I do think the Rays and in the lineup, I like Caminero, but they lost Brandon Lowe to the Pirates. So I mean, I like Caminero, but I think they lack some depth in the lineup too. But I do think the Rays win 75 games, but I have them in last. So I'm Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Orioles, Rays.
Yeah. For me, my five, I got the Blue Jays finishing first, Yankees second, Boston third, Baltimore fourth, and I got Tampa, kind of coming up the rear here. But yeah, like even with Tampa, like I think they're close to a 500 team. Like, they're gonna bring up a couple pitchers that you've never heard of that are like, oh, these guys are actually pretty good, and Kevin Katz will find a way to get that team close to 500. And most divisions they probably finish above 500, but just because it's the American League East and how stacked it is, I think they'll finish a little bit below. But hopefully they get like a Shane McClanahan healthy this year. Drew Rasmussen pitched pretty well last year. They'll probably have like 30 guys in the IL and bring Giffen Jacks, who I think is going to have a better year than they did last year. So they got some good young pieces, but I think their Rays bring up the rear here, but I think they're around a 500 team. It's like the only division where there's not like a bottom feeder.
There really isn't. There really isn't.
Yeah,
there really isn't. There really isn't. So it'll be an interesting division. For the top team's sake, thank God they don't play 19 times a year because that could really affect the top teams in terms of playoff seeding. But yeah, it'll be. I think it's definitely the best. I think it's the best division in baseball. I think the AL East this year going is the best division in baseball in my opinion. I definitely think it is. But we'll move on to the AL Central, and really the question going into the season. I know they didn't win the division last year; they collapsed at the end of the year. Even though they still end up making the playoffs, should the Tigers be the heavy favorite to win it? And I think they absolutely should be. I think getting they obviously having Skubal and getting Framber Valdez. I think that was a big move getting Framber Valdez. I think Jack Flaherty could have a better year. Even Verlander. Verlander's back on that team too. We'll see what he does there. But the lineup you got Spencer Torkelson, you got Riley Green, you got a solid line. You got a solid lineup there with Kerry Carpenter. So you got a decent lineup, good bullpen. I'm saying that the Tigers should definitely be the clear favorite to win the AL Central this year.
Yeah, I'm with you there. They should be the clear favorite. They got a couple young pieces that I know they're hoping to kind of take like Cole Keith and the shortstop Kevin McDougal.
That's a good one.
Got a solid spring. Yeah. I think they're hoping there, and Flamer Valdez too is a solid number two. They need a bounce back year from Flaherty. I do love that Verlander's going to end his career in Detroit, where it all began for him. But we'll see how much he gives them. And Casey Mize, he pitched pretty well last year. He's finally healthy for most of it. So yeah, I think that lineup's gotten better, and Kerry Carpenter could take like another step up here. I think that Detroit team's really good, and of course they got Tarek Skubal, the back-to-back Cy Young champion in the American League. So they got kind of one more go around with him. So we'll see if they can get back to that World Series and be their first. All right, they haven't won their division since 14, I don't believe.
No, they 14. It's crazy to think of it because they made the playoffs the last 2 years. Yeah, it's crazy to think they haven't won the division since 14. But I think they're the heavy favorite. And the question is because this division the last 2 years has had two teams come out of it. The question is will this division have two teams coming out of it? I don't think they will. I think the Guardians got a little bit worse. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think the Royals are again, around 500 again. And obviously the other two teams, the Twins are in a rebuild, and the White Sox are. I know they got Murakama, but they're in a rebuild. They're still in a rebuild too. So I'm going to say no. I don't think that 2 teams come out of this division.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we'll get the second team. I do like the Royals' possibility to get in, because I really like their rotation. I think their bullpen's really solid. And hey, if Carter Jensen, the rookie Jack Caglione have breakout years, maybe they find a way to get their wild card spot. But I think the Royals are 1 year away from being back into the playoffs. So it's an easy division. So maybe the Royals pick off the Twins, White Sox, and Guardians enough. Even though I know the Guardians are probably a 500-ish record team as well this year, but I'm with you right now. I just have Detroit coming out of the playoffs in this division.
All right, we'll do our division prediction, and obviously we said it. For me, the Tigers are first. I said starting pitching, good lineup, good bullpen. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Royals. I think Caglione's going to have a good year. Obviously Witt's a stud. You got Salvi Perez in that lineup. You got Pasquantino in that lineup. So I think they're going to be close to getting into the playoffs, but I think they're just going to miss the playoffs. Again, as you said, I think the Gardos are a 500 team. I know they got Jose Ramirez and Manzardo, but it's just a lot of decent to good, not great things on that team. I know Cade Smith is a pretty good closer. You have the Bibby's a good starter, not a great starter. I think they're around an 82, 81 win team. I got them in third. In fourth, I got the Twins. The average fan outside of Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton, who and maybe who else can you name on that? Royce Lewis. Who can you name on that team? Who can you name on that team? What do you say?
Bailey Ober, the number 2 starter.
Yeah. So I think the Twins are a 75 to 70 win team. And you got the White Sox. I know they got the Japanese star Mark Kama, but this is still a team in a total rebuild. And they'll be lucky to win 65 games. They'll be in last place. So for me, it's Tigers, Royals, Gardos, Twins, White Sox. What's your AL Central pick?
Mine, I'm going with the Tigers to lead it, to win the division. I got the Royals, Caglione. I do like, can you get 100 RBIs from Salvi Perez again? I don't know, but Vinny Pasquantino had a really good year too last year. Some of that lineup you're kind of banking on could all kind of take a next step up here, but I do like Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha still left, Seth Lugo. Like, I really like the rotation. The rotation keep them some games, and I do like their bullpen a lot too. So the Royals, if they can get enough hitting, I think they could get to a wild card, but I think they're a year away. Yeah, number 3 for me is Cleveland. It's too bad that ownership group does not spend a dime because such a great fan base, and they always kind of surprise you every single year. But I think they're closer like a 75, 80 win team this year. They still have Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams. It's not a great, they still got Jose Ramirez as well, but it's not a great team outside of those guys. And number 4, I got Minnesota as well here. We did forget to mention Royce Lewis with the Twins. That's another guy you can name.
I think I mentioned. I think I might have mentioned. I might have mentioned.
Oh yeah, I might have missed Royce Lewis. Okay, I must have missed them. Misheard you then. But yeah, they're starting a total rebuild here. They probably trade Joe Ryan at the deadline. You would think so. So it's not a great team. They're gonna have a down year. And White Sox I have coming in 5th year. There's not much there. They traded Luis Roberts. I know he hasn't played great, but the last couple years. But Morikawa, the Japanese star coming in, and we'll see. I know he's not a great defender, but could hit a bit. I know, could Benintendi have another solid year? Can you use him as a trade chip? You got some young guys in that rotation that you're banking on that pitch well, but other than that, not a lot of optimism in the South Side.
All right, we'll move to the AL West, and the question is: the Mariners won the division last year. Are they the favorite this year? And I'm going to say yes. I think the pitching is pretty good. I like Wu. I like the Gilbert and I think. I think Luis Castillo, his best days are behind him. I think he's still decent, though. I like Gilbert, but I like the bullpen, but I really like the lineup. I really love Suarez. When you got a guy who hit a bunch of home runs last year in Cal Raleigh, you got J-Rod, you got Julio Rodriguez, you got Randy Rosarina. I like that lineup. I'm going to say yes. I think they are the favorite in the AL West. Justin, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I got him as a favorite too to win the West. Yeah, Josh Naylor, Cal Raleigh. Obviously Julio Rodriguez controlled center field. Randy Rosarena is a good hitter too. So I really like the Brandon Donovan pickup from St. Louis.
That's a good one.
I think he's a really good young. Yeah. The good young talented player, good defensively too, and you could put their rotation up there with anybody's as being one of the best. And yeah, Castillo, maybe his best days are behind him, but you still got Kirby in front of him, Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller. When hopefully he can have a bounce back year. Munoz is one of the best closers in baseball. So and Matt Brash is a good kind of eighth inning guy with the Gabe Saber. So they got a solid kind of couple guys there in that bullpen too. So I'm with you here. I think they win the division.
Yeah, I agree. I think they do. I think I think the Mariners definitely win the division. Now we look at the we look at now we look at the our next we'll look at the what we think about the AL West, and I'll start with it. I know we got the Mariners winning the division. Number 2, I'm going with the Rangers, and I think with the addition of Mackenzie Gore, I think they make the playoffs. I think the Rangers. I know the lineup is a question, but if DeGrom and Mackenzie Gore and Nathan Eovaldi can stay healthy, that's some really good pitching there. So I think the Rangers can make the playoffs. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Astros, and I know they got the Japanese pitcher, but they lost Framber Valdez. Guys like Altuve, now Correa is back there. Those guys are getting old. Yordan Alvarez is still really good. I'll give him that, but they got some guys, and Praise is decent, but they got some guys getting old in that Astros lineup. Number 4, I go with the A's. I like their young talent. I like Jacob Wilson. I like Nick Kurtz. I like Brett Rucker. I think the A's got some they're an exciting team to watch. The A's are a fun team to watch, especially in that stadium. The problem is they got no pitching at all. They're going to have to get some pitching before they go to Vegas because they got some young talent. They got some really young talent. So I think in a couple of years, I think the A's are actually going to be competing. I really do. I think the arrow is pointing up with the A's, and I think they can get to 70-something wins this year. I think the arrow is pointing up. The problem is they have no pitching, and the Angels, and they're just outside of Mike Trout with that team. I mean, Jose Soriano is their opening day starter. That's all you need to know. That's why I got them in last place.
Yeah, I get Seattle's 1. I'm with you too with the Rangers here getting finished second. I was surprised you bet against your Astros. I know you're.
Yeah, I've been down on the Astros haven't been as good. Astros haven't been good, and I have the Rangers as a playoff team too. I have the Rangers as my last playoff team. Yeah,
I do too. I'm very high on the Rangers this year. I'm with you. I love that Mackenzie Gore pickup, and I'm thinking on some of those young guys in that roster, in that lineup, like Josh Young, take that step up. Wyatt Langford, who has kind of rookie year. Evan Carter at center field more than likely. Like taking. I don't love Brandon Nimmo, but like did they have 92 RBIs last year? They replaced Dolis Garcia, who goes to Philly. So Jake Berger's got some power there at he's got potential for some power. So I'm with you with the Rangers. I do really like that Rangers team. I'm with you too here with the Astros at number 3. Just it's an older roster. Christian Walker, I know bounced back after having a tough start to the year, but yeah, Altuve, how many more, how much he's got left in the tank. I know, Correa is back there too. And, Yordan Alvarez is one of the best left-handed hitters in baseball. But yeah, outside of Hunter Brown and Umaya out of, the Japanese kid they brought in, who else in that rotation you really, really like? There's not much. And, Hader's still a really good closer, and Brandon Ray is a solid reliever as well. So I have him number 3. I'm with you here with the Athletics finishing 4th. Yeah, there's some young talent you mentioned, in that lineup. Shane Langeliers too had a really good year behind the plate. Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, Tyler Sanderstrom too had 93 RBIs last year. So Lawrence Butler, who I think's got a ton of potential too. And yeah, as you mentioned, like Luis Severino is going to be the race. Like that's all. It's not great. In that ballpark too, where you're gonna need some pitching, and it's not a great bullpen either. So, I got pitching 4th, and yeah, I got the Angels here at 5th as well. They got Mike Trout. Poor Kurt Suzuki, the new manager, has 1 year here to try to, get an extension here. So, Arnie Moreno, one of the worst owners in sports. Gonna be another long year for Los Angeles.
It definitely will be. It definitely will be. Now we will move on to the NL East, and the question is: the Phillies have won it the last 2 years. Should they be the favorite to win the division? And I'm gonna say yes. I know they lost Suarez, but I like their pitching, especially at the top with Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler. I think Nola will have a bounce back year. So I like their pitching at the top. Obviously, you like the lineup. You like having Bryce Harper and Schwarber and Trey Turner. You like that lineup. You definitely like the lineup there. And the bullpen with Duran as the closer, I like that too. So I do like the Phillies to be the favorite in the division. Justin, are the Phillies the favorite to win the division?
Yeah, I got the Phillies too here. They think they got solid outfield still. Hopefully Justin Crawford, the rookie, is going to patrol center field, has a good year for him. Bringing back Kyle Schwarber. I know it's an aging roster here, but there's still a lot of talent. Zach Wheeler had a really good year. I know he might miss like the first couple weeks here, but it sounds like he'll be back sometime in mid-April. But you still got for Sanchez. Jesus Lazaro had a pretty good year. You need a bounce back year from Aaron Nola. Tyjon Walker too wasn't great, and I know they're hoping for big things out of their another rookie and Andrew Painter. So you mentioned Duran's a good closer too. So I really like that lineup. It's an aging team, but I still do have the Phillies winning this, and wouldn't be shocked like if they go. Wouldn't be shocked. If you asked me if we did this 2 weeks ago, I probably would have took the Braves, but now with all their kind of pitching injuries, I have Phillies back taking over division. So.
All righty, and now we'll get to the Braves. We're talking about the Mets. Are the Mets a playoff team? With the loss of Alonso and Diaz, are the Mets a playoff team? And I'm still going to say yes, because I think Nolan McLean, I know it's a lot to ask of Nolan McLean, but I think he'll have a good year. And then they got Freddie Peralta, and they did get Bo Bichette. I do think the Mets sneak into the playoff. Justin, are the Mets a playoff team?
We don't have them as a playoff team. Yeah. I know some of the clubhouse issues, like Neil, was an issue, but I know he's gone now. But from all reports, it doesn't sound like Lindor and Soto get along very well. And they wanted to upgrade their defense, especially in the infield. Jorge Polanco, who's never played first base before, and then you got Bo Bichette, who's never played third base before. Those are two hot corners in the sport. I don't love that. And outside of Peralta, who it's good in the regular season. I think in the playoffs he's a fake ace. But McLean to me is gonna be your number two. I know he looked good last year, and then you got Peterson who's all right. But Clay Holmes ran out of steam last year. And Kodai Senga didn't even finish he finished the year in AAA. Is he broken still or is he fixed? I don't know. So, and I don't love their bullpen. I don't love Devin Williams in New York. We saw that experiment last year. I really like Luke Weaver, but outside of that, I don't really love it. So I don't have them as a playoff team. I gotta see it. I think there's some internal issues with the Mets. I still think that could come up and be a problem this year.
All right, we'll go with our analyst picks, and I got the Phillies winning the division. I like the rotation, I like the lineup, and I like Duran as the closer. I'm going with the Mets to finish in second and get to the playoffs. I just like their lineup. I really like I still really, even though Alonso's gone, I like the addition of his chat. I like their lineup with Soto and Lindor. I really, and I don't mind Polanco in that lineup. I don't mind Simeon in that lineup. I know they traded Brendan Nimmo to Texas, but I don't mind that lineup. I like it. Bullpen is definitely a question mark. That's going to be a question mark, but I do like them as a wild card. They're coming in third. It's the Braves. I do have them go to the playoffs. I know Spencer Strider is going to miss part of the season on the IL, but I do with Acuna coming back. I like their lineup, and their bullpen is decent as well. Coming in fourth, the Marlins. I know they were decent last year, but they didn't really make any significant moves, so I got them coming in fourth. And the Nationals, let's be honest, might be the worst team. They might be one of the worst teams, and they might be the worst team in the league going into the season. Really, outside of CJ Abrams and Colorado's probably the worst. Yeah, Colorado's the worst. Yeah. But this is probably the second to worst. But outside of CJ Abrams and I blanked on their best player. I know who he is. I blanked on their best player. James Wood. I just don't think the team offensively is any good, and their bullpen's terrible. So the Nationals are definitely in last. Justin, what do you got for the NL East?
Yeah, for me, I got Atlanta finishing second. I know kind of some of the rotations injuries now, but it's such a long season in baseball. Sounds like a couple of those guys will be back for the end of the year. So, and a couple of those guys will be back, within the first month or so. So I do like the Braves to finish in second. I do expect as long as Acuna stays healthy, he's gonna have a bounce back year. Matt Olson still is a really good hitter. I expect Austin Riley have a bounce back year. they need Ozzy Albies to also have a big year. So I'm going to bank on the Braves to have a bounce back year here. That's such a good organization. I don't think they have kind of 2 down years in a row here. Third, I got the Mets. I kind of went over them a few minutes ago, but the lineup's good. Some of the pitching staff is just kind of an issue. I still think the defense is an issue as well. So, I just think there's some internal problems in that clubhouse, and I don't know if they're gonna be fixed. And fourth, I like Miami. Getting to see them live a couple times last year. I was impressed with some of the younger guys that they have. Jacob Marcy, I think is I thought was a sensational guy, just like at the plate and his rookie, his major league debut. I was just really impressed with it at bats. So Kyle Stowers, I know is going to start the year on IL too. I know he might miss the first couple of weeks, but he was a really nice pickup a year ago. They still got Alcantara, they still got Perez. So I do like some of Miami's young talent here, but as you mentioned, they didn't do anything much to spend money. And number 5, Washington. I think they're gonna be one of the worst teams in the league this year. It's gonna be a bad year. And outside of CJ Abrams, James Wood, there's not much to hang your hat on. Like even Dylan Cruz has not turned out to be like a good major league player yet. And I'm like, they're right now. They're like closer might be Clayton Beater from the Yankees.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That might be the closer.
That's why the Nationals are in a bad way. They're in a handful of teams that are just not at this point trying to win in Major League Baseball. So we move on to the NL Central, and really the question going in is, does the Cubs getting Bregman make them the favorite? And I agree with the Brewers losing Peralta. I think the Cubs getting this bat. I know they lost Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, but getting Alex Bregman, I do think they are the favorite going into the season.
I'm gonna take the Brewers.
I'll take the Brewers, yeah.
Till somebody knocks them off. I know they lost Peralta.
You love the way they play. You love the way the Brewers play, even though they got destroyed in the NLCS last year.
Yeah, and they probably will again. Because the way again, they put the ball in play, they steal some bases. They got a couple really good pitchers. I enjoy watching those types of teams play. Again, I just don't like watching, it's great watching Paul Skeens and Scooble strike out like 15 a night, but like I don't need to see some fourth guy in the rotation in Arizona doing that I don't need to see that. So I always enjoy it. And I think Pat Murphy's a hell of a manager. I think he's better than Craig Counsell, and I think he's proven that the last couple of years. So
I'll give you that. He's not better than Dave Roberts, but he's better than Craig Counsell.
No, sure. Yeah, he's not better than Dave Roberts, but he's better than Craig Counsell. So I'm gonna take the Brewers until the Cubs can knock him off. I'll take Milwaukee again and do it.
Oh wow. So we'll go to our predictions. I'll start. I'll go with the Cubs coming in first. Obviously, I like the Bregman move. I think they got pretty good pitching with Matt Boyd at the top. I don't mind their bullpen. Brewers in second. I think Mizorowski's gonna have a good year. Mizorowski's gonna have a big year for them. I like their lineup. I think as you said it. Pat Murphy's a really good manager, and I think they get back to the playoffs. I do think they're a playoff team, too. I think they return to the playoffs. Coming in third, I'm going to go with the Reds. I think the Hunter Green loss is too much to make up to get back to the playoffs. I love Tito's great. He was a Hall of Fame manager, but I think the Hunter Green loss is too much to make up. Cardinals, I just feel like they're very average. They're in a rebuild. And the Pirates, Paul Skeens is phenomenal. I think they have decent pitching. They got Keller behind him, and they got Lowe, but again, I just don't think they have enough. They have enough to compete for a playoff spot. So I got Cubs, Brewers, Reds, Cards, Pirates, Buccos.
Yeah, for me in this division, I got Milwaukee finishing first. Can you get 100 RBIs 100 RBIs again from Yelich? I think it'd be tough to replicate, but I think it's possible. Sal Frelick. I expect him to kind of take a leap. Jackson Chiro had a good kind of rookie year as well. So I like some of the young pieces. They always do well. They always kind of are better than you always expect from them. And Quinn Priester was an unbelievable pickup too for him. So, I'm excited to kind of see what that Brewers team does. Uribe, that eighth inning guy, Trevor McGill's a good closer. So I like their 8th, 9th combination. Second, I got the Cubbies here. Yeah, I like the Bregman pickup. They finally spent some money. I know they just extended P. Crow Armstrong, which is good to get. Can Nico Horner kind of get going, have like a bigger offensive year. Ian Happ, solid outfielder. I do like a couple guys in the rotation there. Picking up Edward Cabrera, I think is a solid addition. So I like the Cubbies to finish in second. Third, I'm going with the Pirates. I really like the rotation. I know eventually they'll
Wow,
get
going
rid of
Pirates. Wow.
too. Yeah. Yeah. I'm high on, obviously Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller.
Jared
I think
Jones, I forgot
Chandler.
about. Jared Jones, I forgot about in that rotation. I forgot about him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know he's expected to be out probably till like late May, early June, so he'll miss like the first 2 months or so. But I really do like that rotation that they have. The bullpen isn't great. I do think their lineup got a little bit better, bringing in Brandon Lowe. But Brian Reynolds could hit. Can you get a lot? Can you get more out of O'Neal Cruz, and can you get Rhino Hurt too to kind of be a big stick in that lineup? So I think the Pirates finished in third. I think the Reds finished at fourth. You mentioned the Hunter Green injury. A couple weeks ago, I would have flip flopped that. Um, Chase Burns, they got, I expect him to pitch better this year. They got some young guys in their rotation. Um, Ellie Deli Cruz is a big, massive, hitter. I like bringing that they got Suarez, Eugenio Suarez on the mound of that lineup. So some of the young guys, like, I don't know a couple of the guys in the lineup. They need a couple of those guys to take steps up this year. Um, Number 5, St. Louis, your favorite GM in baseball taking over, and Chaim Bloom.
Yeah.
That farm system's gonna get better, and
Oh man,
St. Louis needs it.
Yeah, they need it, but they're
Yeah,
not good. Not good. And of course, he's not. As
yeah.
you know, he's not signing anybody. That's typical him, not signing
No,
anybody.
no. I think he will eventually, hopefully, in St. Louis. They'll spend some money, but yeah, they got some young guys. But like, I think it'd be a down year for St. Louis. It's unfortunate. That's a great ballpark, great fan base, but
Yeah.
yeah, that especially that pitching staff. There's not a lot of guys that you kind of hang your hat on that can go out there day in and day out and you feel good about. So, yeah, I got Cardinals finishing fifth place this year, and another year they're gonna miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it for the Cardinals. Now moving on to the NL West, and obviously we know who's going to win the division. I mean, that's obvious. But really, the question is which team has the best chance of being a threat to them? And I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants. I think they have a full year of Devers, and I like, obviously Logan Webb will be pitching tonight against the Yankees, and you got Robbie Ray in that rotation. I think their lineup is decent. Matt Chapman in that lineup. I like their lineup. I'm going to go with the Giants here. I think the Giants have the best chance of challenging the Dodgers. And because I look at what the Padres, they lost Cease. They could have potentially, Tatis might end up getting traded in the middle of the season. Who knows what happens there? So I know they have Mason Miller at the back end of their bullpen, but I'm going to go with the Giants. I think the Giants have the best chance of doing it. I think the Giants have the best chance of, being the biggest threat to the Dodgers going into the season.
Yeah, I almost went the Giants, but I did choose San Diego still. Yeah, I know they might trade Tatis, but I'm banking on they won't if they stick around here in the playoff hunt. And I expect him to have a good year. I expect Jackson Merrill to have to have a kind of another positive year, another growth. And Ramon Laureano had a good year last year. Like, can he kind of replicate that? Manny's getting a little bit older. Gavin Sheets kind of came out of nowhere last year and had a good year. I still like a couple of those guys at the top with Pavetta and Michael King. I know the back end of it isn't great, but they still got one of the best closers in baseball, Mason Miller. Jeremiah Estrada at the back end of the bullpen too. I think solid. Morahan's a good lefty. Wandy Peralta, another solid lefty in that bullpen. So I think the Padres have I took the Padres. It's close between them and the Giants, but I did go San Diego.
All righty, so our NL West predictions. I'm going up. I mean, we don't even need to say we're going number one. Dodgers are just loaded, and they're loaded. They have Kyle Tucker and Edwin Diaz. That's enough said there. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Giants. I don't think they make the playoffs, but I don't think they're the full year with Devers. I think they'll win more games than they lose. So I got them. I think they'll be in the race. So I got the Giants second. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Padres. I think they lost a starting pitcher. I mean, they could lose Tatis. So I do think they win more games than they lose, but I got them in third. Coming in fourth, I got the Diamondbacks.
Arizona.
I think they're around a 500 team. I just don't really see that. I think they're very average, Arizona, right now. I think they've lost pieces, and I think they're around 500. And then coming last, the worst team in baseball, the Rockies. So that's my NL West. Justin, your NL West.
Yeah, mine's the Dodgers. They could win 90 games. They could, they only have to win 90 games to win that division probably. So that thing will be wrapped up by mid-July by the All-Star break. They're not, you kind of, Kyle Tucker now, Edwin Diaz, that lineup's loaded, that rotation with Yamamoto's unbelievable. Glasgow could stay healthy. They're going for the three-peat this year, of course. Number 2, I got San Diego. kind of, with Tatis. I know, I hope they don't trade him. If they're in it, and I do like still kind of the top end of the rotation guys. Like a couple of their bullpen pieces. So I'm gonna take Padres to finish in second. Third, I got San Francisco. Um, bringing in the manager, for Tennessee. I think we'll see how he kind of does managing 162 games instead of like 60. But yeah, Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Tom Maley too, kind of the number 3 guy. That rotation is pretty good, and yeah, the lineup's really good. It's with Devers and Matt Chapman, hopefully too, and you know and hopefully Bryce Eldridge, or kind of top prospect, has a good year. And I love Luis Ariz too. He's just he'll good on base and he'll hit around 300. Now the left side of the infield, that Devers at first and Ariz at second, is dreadful. But they can make up for it with their bats. So I do like the Giants finish in third. Fourth, I got the D-backs as well. Corbin Burns, I think, is gonna be out to like mid-July, so that does hurt. Zach Gallen needs like a bounce back year. Water Rodriguez does too. He had like a 5 ERA last year. Couple guys that kind of in the lineup, but like Carl Santana's older. Nolan Otto's getting older. Could he have kind of a bounce back year this year? Obviously, Corey Carroll's a really good player. So some question marks in the lineup, but I'm with you. I think they finished around 500. And yeah, Colorado, the worst team in baseball. And I forget what the dude's name is they hired for the GM, but he's been out of baseball for like 10 years. So
That's
good
crazy.
luck to you. That's
crazy.
just
That's crazy. That just shows you
Yeah.
the state of that franchise. I know that the Argos affiliate, but that shows you the state of that franchise right now. So we'll get to our playoff picks, but first we'll do our awards, and we'll start with the American League, and we'll start with the American League Rookie of the Year. We'll start with that, and I'm gonna go with Trey Savage. I know he's out for the beginning of the year, but I'm gonna go with Trey Savage. I think he's a big year for the Blue Jays. He's my AL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, mine's Carter Jensen with the Royals, a catcher. Hit 300 last year, 3 home runs, 13 ribbies in 20 games. So, gonna probably be the everyday catcher now with Salvi moving to DH and first base. So, he had really good plate discipline at the minors. Always had a high walk rate. So he's a guy that could get on base. Knows the strike zone very well. So I get Carter Jensen out of the Royals to win it.
All righty, NL Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go with Connor Griffin of the Pirates. I'm going to have him, the shortstop. I'm going to go with him as the NL Rookie of the Year. Justin, who's your NL Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I took him as well, Connor Griffin on the Pirates. I think he had a good spring. Some of the kind of highlights I watched of him, and I think he's like a 5 tool player. So I think the line. I was a little surprised he didn't start on the open day roster, but that's a team that you can get him in the lineup. I think there's some pressure on that organization this year with Paul Skeens and closer, to the kind of getting closer to free agency. Got to start to compete in the big year. So I got Connor Griffin to make a big impact on the lineup this year.
Alrighty, AL Cy Young. I think it's gonna be a pretty obvious one for me. I'm gonna go with Tarek Skubal. He's just phenomenal. He's great. So I just don't think there's anyone that's Garrett Crochet is close, but I'm gonna go with Skubal to win another Cy Young.
Yeah, I went with Scuba as well. I almost went Cole Reagans with the Royals, or Garrett Crochet with the Red Sox. But last year he's just so dominant. Just led the American League in several different categories: strikeouts, WAR. You know, he's been unbelievable. Think he had the most kind of scoreless starts of at least 6 innings of Tigers history last year. So, I want Tarek Skubal as well to win his third straight, Cy Young award.
All right, NL Cy Young. I'm going to throw a little curve here. I'm going to go with Christopher Sanchez. I think he wins. I think he gets a little more run support than Paul Skeens. I'm going to go with Christopher Sanchez to win the NL Cy Young.
Yeah, I like that one. I went away from Skeens as well. I went with Yamamoto. Thought he had a really good kind of year. In 2025. Under 3 RA. Threw 100 and 175 innings he threw about last year. So, was awesome during the postseason as well, and just has such a great arsenal of pitches. And think batters only hit 183 against him last year. So he just has elite stuff, and when he's on, he's impossible to hit. So I want Yamamoto out of the Dodgers.
All righty, we'll go to our AL MVP, and I'm not going to go with our guy to win the third straight. I'm going to go with Cal Raleigh because I think it's close. I think they're going to give it to the big dumper, so I'm going to go Cal Raleigh.
I'm with Judge again. He stays healthy. Yeah, he'll hit probably close to 55, 60 home runs. Just the WAR last year, I think was close to 11, which is insane. So, I think again he has another big year. Plays for the Yankees. Another year they make the playoffs. I don't think they'll win the division, but I still think he'll be enough. I think he'll still have a huge presence in that lineup. That he wins another MVP.
All right, we'll go to NL MVP, and I'm going to go obvious one. I'm going to go Shohei here. I'm going to go Shohei. I think he was another MVP for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I went with chalk 2 year Shohei. There's not much to be said. He's probably going to pitch probably about 150 innings this year. So I win them too. You could just name the award after him because as long as he's healthy and he's playing, he's probably going to win the award every year. One of the best hitters in baseball. So I went with Shohei too to win it.
All right, so now we'll do our playoff picks, and we'll start in the American League. And I got the Tigers and Mariners as the two teams who have buys. I got the Yankees winning the AL East as the 3 seed. The Rangers as the 6 seed. So I got the Yankees beating the Rangers. I got the Red Sox and Blue Jays going at it. I got the Blue Jays beating the Red Sox. And then the division series, I got Tigers, Blue Jays, Mariners, Yankees. Kind of the same 4 teams as last year, but different matchups. And I'm going to go with the Tigers over the Blue Jays. And Aaron Boone, very rare. The only time he's ever won a series where he hasn't had home field advantage was the COVID series against the Guardians, which really doesn't count. So I'm going to go with the Mariners, and I'm going to go with the Tigers and Mariners in the ALCS. I'm going to go with the Tigers to win the American League.
Yeah, you got Tigers. For me, I got Toronto getting that number 1 seed. I got Seattle getting the second one. So those are my 2 buys. My 3 seed Detroit, I do have going down the 6 seeded Red Sox in the wild card round, and then I do have the Yankees knocking off the Rangers in the 4-5 matchup. So I do have Toronto over Boston, and I do have Seattle over the Yankees. So I do have a rematch of last year's American League, the ALCS. But this year, I'm taking Seattle to get over the hump and knocking off Toronto in the ALCS.
So you were going with Seattle in the American League. I got Detroit. In the NL, I got the Dodgers and Phillies are the 2 teams getting buys. The Cubs, the 3 seed, winning the NL Central. I got the Brewers as the 4 seed, being the first wild card. The Mets as the 5 seed, and the Braves as the 6 seed. So I got the Cubs beating the Braves, the Brewers beating the Mets. So I got it Dodgers, Brewers, Phillies, Cubs. So a little the same 4 teams as last year, but just different opponents. So I got the Dodgers beating the Brewers, and the Phillies beating the Cubs. So I got Dodgers Phillies, a rematch of the team that gave the Dodgers the most trouble last year in the National League, the Phillies. I think it's a close competitive series, but I got to go with the Dodgers again. So I got the Dodgers and Tigers in the World Series. Justin, your American League. Their National League playoffs.
Yeah, for me in the National League, I got Dodgers this year getting one of the buys, and I have Milwaukee getting a buy. So I got the 3 seeded Phillies knocking off the 6 seeded Atlanta Braves in the wild card, and my other wild card series rematch of last year in Wrigley again. But I'm with the Padres this year to knock off Chicago.
Wow, Padres making.
So yeah, in the NLDS, I got the Dodgers over San Diego, and I do have the Phillies knocking off Milwaukee. In the NLCS, same 2 as you here, and I also have the Dodgers knocking off Philly and going back to another World Series.
All right, you got Dodgers, Mariners. I got Dodgers and Tigers. I'm going to go Dodgers in 6. I think the Dodgers 3-peat and win their 3rd straight title.
I'm going with Seattle at 6 here.
You're going with Seattle.
Yeah.
So you got the Mariners getting to their first World Series and then winning their first World Series. You got the Mariners over the Dodgers.
Yep.
I got the Dodgers over the Tigers. Now, our final question. If the Dodgers win the World Series, will there be a baseball season in 2027? And I hate to say it, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because the owners are going to want a salary cap so bad and the players aren't. And I just don't think they're going to. No, you know what? I'll amend that. It won't be a full season. I think it'll be a shortened season in 2027 if the Dodgers win the World Series. But if they don't, I think we have a full season.
Yeah, if the Dodgers win the whole thing, I don't think we're going to have baseball in 2027. I think it's been a long lockout, and I think baseball might really screw up all the momentum that they've gained here the last couple of years with the World Series they just had in the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, obviously, if Seattle does end up knocking them off or anybody else knocks out the Dodgers, they don't win it. I do think we got a baseball season. I think maybe it's a little shorter next year. But if the Dodgers win it, I'd be surprised because I know those owners want the salary cap and I know the players don't. So I think we could be in for a long standoff.
I'm going to close with this number 1 rule for this baseball season: root for your team and whoever plays the Dodgers. So we have a season in 2027. That's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week previewing the Final Four and talking about the beginning of the season for the Yankees and Red Sox and any NFL or NBA news that comes our way. Have a great weekend, everyone.